Welcome to this week's edition of AFS Agronomy Updates. My name is Eric Winters, CCA agronomist for the Fulton, Minnesota location. This week we're going to touch on an important topic this time of the year, planter setup and maintenance. So this morning we're in a typical farm shop. We have a John Deere 1775 NT planter, and we're fortunate on this particular unit that we've got a number of the systems that would like to review, namely starter fertilizer and some added on accessories for seed bed preparation that we'll go through here and discuss what you should be looking at when you pull your planter out of the shed, things to look at, adjustments, and take it from there. So taking a look at the planter from a row unit perspective, I guess we have one of the press wheels off here. But in general, if your planter is equipped with starter fertilizer, as this one is, one of the main things, pre-season check, obviously make sure that your lines are in good shape, nothing's cracked, pinched, deteriorated from, from storage and so forth. Check all your connections. This particular planter has what they call a totally tubular distribution system consisting of this steel tube. So in the rare event that there would have been any damage or rock, debris, whatever, you'll want to go in and check all those fittings, connection points, and so forth, and make sure that that's going to be good to go come springtime. A new option, or relatively new in the industry, is what they call an AcroPlant fertilizer distribution boot, if you will, as compared to the totally tubular, which relies mostly on the tube itself to be a sense of support. This particular item, take your application tube and actually run it through the steel boot, and that would bolt in place of the bracket here and provide additional support or protection against any damage to your seed tube while still providing a stable mounting bracket, if you will, for your fertilizer tube. So on this planter, it's equipped with trash whippers. Not every planter that you see in the countryside does, but if your planter is so equipped, obviously important to check bearings, check spacing such that they aren't rubbing or a big gap here at the beginning of the row. And I guess an important thing that some guys overlook with these is they want to move a lot of soil with these, and really the goal of a trash whipper is just to remove any trash, as the name would apply, right in front of the row. So adjustment as conditions change and so forth is important, such that you're not moving a large quantity of soil throughout the field. So that's just kind of a quick note on your trash whippers. And if we kind of transition through the row unit here, we kind of hit on the starter fertilizer. The other thing, obviously, your seed tubes and so forth, want to be going through that. Check brushes. Depending on what your planter is like, this obviously being an air planter, if you had an old finger type, that would be a little bit different mechanism. But your seed delivery system, of course, make sure there isn't old caked up seed or debris of some sort in there, and make sure we're good to go there. And then if we transition more towards the back of the unit, we're fortunate on this planter that there are a couple of added options or features that not everybody has. One of them being the drag chain on the back, and this will assist in leveling out the soil, break up any clods, kind of make that nice finished seed bed for that young seed to be germinating through. The other feature on this is what they call a Copperhead furrow buster closing disc. And we have one of each on this row unit, obviously this being the stock John Deere, kind of a smooth rubber disc, whereas the Copperhead, and I'll kind of spin that here, obviously, kind of big teeth on it, essentially kind of looks like a trash whipper. And in a situation where soil is cloddy, maybe mucky, having 2 of these would definitely increase your possibility of having a compacted and almost a ribboned seed bed, whereas with the furrow buster or crust buster, whatever you want to call it, just that little bit of tillage, if you will, kind of make a nice, smooth, crumbly seed bed to help get your seed up out of the ground and uniform stand. Another important feature on this planter is a dosatron unit. Now, a dosatron unit, for those of you that don't know what that is a way to utilize things like fungicides, soil-applied insecticides, and so forth that you, for whatever reason, would not want to have hot-loaded and mixed in the bulk fertilizer plant at the time of application. So it's a very handy item for those of you that don't know what it does. It basically runs off of dosatron. It's an old technology that's been used in hog medication units for years. There's no electrical component unless you want the recirc on it for certain products, but not required. So it's a very foolproof system, if you will. But there are a couple of important notes to take on that. One, you definitely want to clean them. For sure at the end of planting season, depending on how many acres you have, it wouldn't hurt to flush them out, run some clean water through them, because 99% of the time the products that are going to be in the tank here are either corrosive or have some chemical property that is not going to want to lay in these rubber lines for an extended period of time. So normally at the end of the season you would have that cleaned up, but obviously you just want to take the lid off. This one is perfectly clean in there, but make sure you don't have any dead bugs or mouse died in there, or whatever could happen over the length of the off season. But there again, you want to check your lines, the recirc lines if so equipped. Make sure the hoses are in good shape, there aren't any missing clamps, and that way you'll be ready to go and start with some fresh, clean equipment at the beginning of the season and minimize your chances of any downtime or plugging that could occur. The next thing to hit on would be making sure that your basic connections between the planter and the tractor are in good repair. With modern planters, typically we have multiple monitors and application equipment. So even something as simple as going along and checking all your electric lines, harnesses, connections, and then going in the tractor cab and firing everything up, kind of going through a demo, if you will, and make sure that all your systems are talking to one another so that we don't assume that everything's working. We get out to the field, everything's plugged in, and oh, wait a minute, we've got an issue with one thing talking to another. Depending on your brand of planter and the local resources available to you, it's definitely not a bad idea to take some row units, some or all, into a local technician to do a test run on them, make sure your singulation, your spacing, and the overall performance of the meter is up to par. Definitely not a good thing to make an assumption that everything is good, and we get out to the field, and with a lot of these modern monitors, they're going to be able to tell you in real time if your planter, as specifically related to the row units, are providing good performance. And the more things like that we can take care of and prepare for ahead of time will definitely minimize downtime in the field and give us that good spacing and a good start to the crop. Thank you for watching this week's edition of Agronomy Updates, and from all of us at Asmus Farm Supply, have a safe and happy spring.